Welcome back to TBI Analytics podcast, where we interview people in this space doing great things for this world. And I have the pleasure of interviewing my dear friend, sister from another mister, JENN Gore out of Georgia, who is doing absolute incredible things. She's blowing up in this world, like female goddess out of Georgia, doing social media, just really showing these people how you can just be yourself.
Truly.
And the rest comes, right? When you're just in your element, doing what you love to do, the business comes. So tell us more, Jen.
Yeah, so glad to be here. I feel like when we met, we just hit it off right away.
Right away.
We were like, you get me.
Yep.
You are my kind of person. I feel like we were trying to figure out, we met maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was about 2 years. I can't even recall.
I think at TLU, because
I just
you
feel like I've
stand
known
out.
you forever.
I'm like, who's that really tall, beautiful woman here? You know?
Aww.
And a lot of times when we're together, we're like the two tallest women.
We are two tallest people, actually, because I'm taller than most men in this industry, too.
Yes.
It's so fun.
I remember that year when we both dressed up as Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, 2 years ago.
We were like, this is our spirit animal here. Yeah, so I just think trying to put my own signature on the law and be myself. And, you know, I think for a long time, the law was kind of like, you have to be this one type of personality.
It's very structured. Yeah.
You know, it's a guy and, you know, maybe an older guy. And, you know, we as women are here to put our own spin on, you know, the legal industry. And
maybe more of an emotional touch to it.
Yeah, all the superpowers that women have, I think, are so helpful in the legal space.
100%. I found myself early on in this career of personal injury, being behind the scenes of visual media and really taking it from a juror's perspective, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, but yet I'm in this environment. And so I would always put myself in that chair of being a juror. And what would my view be with what that attorney is telling me? And so I always found that there was more men in this space than women. And I was like, God, there's so much more. I think just women have that grasp on the emotional touch a little bit more easily, and we're able to express it more easily, that it's amazing that not as many women are doing this that I would think would, because you found it. You nailed it. You said, we're bringing that touch to this space. So
yeah. I think the thing with you too, it's like whenever I'm with you, I feel the warmth of your personality, and you're very present when you're with people. And I think you have a way of connecting with people. I think we've talked about this. We've had our deep conversations about the power of human connection. And
absolutely, really caring. Absolutely having that vision that you're just another human in this world, and we all have our roles. There's nobody better than me. I'm not better than anybody else. We can all add to this world. So I just love seeing people just rise to that occasion and not being afraid of what other people are saying, or, you know, getting into that, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, embracing your own uniqueness does not mean we don't, like, I think it's so interesting because we love being women because that's who we are. We also love men being men. Like, it's all about whatever your unique talent or gift is, be that.
Yes.
And just stepping into that, I think people can feel it. But, you know, we have been on a lot of personal development journeys to get to this place, right? So
yes, we have.
People will be like, okay, you know, this all sounds great. But, I mean, you have to do a lot of personal development to get to the point where you're really comfortable in your own skin.
Perfect way to say it. And you know, my favorite tool in this world, Brain Tap.
You are one of my stories I tell all the time about this Brain Tap.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I think you told me about Brain Tap 2 years ago, maybe more.
Yep.
And this is how you tell the story. You're like, Jen, I have this device. It's changed my life. And I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I know. I wish we could talk more about that, but ears are going to be listening.
Yes.
So yes. But yes, it was.
That's what you said,
Well, what's
though.
funny is Dan Ambrose is the one that the reason why I know about Brain Tap is because of Dan Ambrose. He was using it. And I'm like, what is Dan using? He looks like he's going on to space in the corner of his apartment when he was teaching these attorneys how to be instructors for Trojan Horse.
And let's just explain exactly what Brain Tap is before we get into the story.
Yeah. So Brain Tap basically is a tool to help us meditate and in this world. And this tool has many modalities to it. There's binaural beats. There's red and blue LED light therapy. When our brain is made of light, and we're just molecular structures here, and so when it operates at the right frequency, then we can be the best we can be. So I see Dan using it, and I'm like, what is this? And he's, oh, it's amazing. And I said, well, I don't know what it is, but I want to try it. It just sounds great. So I just started using it, and within a few days, I just could feel the difference in who just that, just like you were saying, just being comfortable in my own skin. Honestly, it was the story I was telling myself for years. We don't even realize that we're telling ourselves subconsciously stories that are not true.
And can you describe to people, like, when you put it on, how it works? Like, because me and you know it, but the listeners might not.
Right. So what it is, it's a little headset, and it's like if you're just audio listening, it's just like, speaker headset phone, speakers. You put it on, and then there's a little shield that comes down from your eyes, and it covers your eyes, and you just close your eyes, and there's over 1,000 sessions that you can plug into for programming your brain for what you want. And so instead of telling that story that is not what we want, because we have doubts, we have worries, we have all of that coming on into this world, we have to tell ourselves a different story. Well, that's what Brain Tap does. Literally, you put it on, you hit play on your phone, because it's an app on your phone, and I just shut my eyes and I'm out. In 15, 20 minutes, you are getting the most powerful healing for your brain in that amount of time. And then it's a ripple effect on the next day that you're doing it consecutively. It's a muscle. Our brain is a muscle. And so we work out our biceps, we work out our legs. You go to the gym almost every day. I see it. And yes, we do all that, but what are we doing with our brain? That's the biggest muscle we need to be training. And so what happens is that training just becomes subconscious now. Now I no longer have to try and control my actions, my stress. I'm able to take on this world in a much easier way.
Yeah, so basically you were doing Brain Tap, and it's like putting yourself in a deep meditative state, which we all know meditation is really important.
Well, I was just going to say, if all the neuroradiologists that I work with in TBI, I have heard every one of them say the best thing that somebody can do for healing their brain is meditation. But people don't know how to meditate. I learned by just listening to somebody say, turn on a mobile fan, like one of those, just a mobile fan that makes noise, white noise, and try to just tap into that for 1 minute without thinking any other thought. Breathe and just listen to that noise for 1 minute. Then do 2, then do 3, all the way up to 20. And if you can hold that, you have just put your brain in the most powerful state to now download the most amazing thoughts that you can have now.
Yeah, I mean, so you tell me about this. For whatever reason, I instantly went on and bought it.
I know. You were like, I got to have this.
It was like $700 or something, right?
Yes.
It wasn't like $5.
Right.
So I order it. Now, you left out a part of the story where you told me Well, I got it and I put it in my side table, and like you didn't use it initially.
So what happened was it was given to my ex-husband and he hadn't opened it. And it was sitting on his nightstand. I'm like, why aren't you using this? Dan said it's great. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to try it. So I just started every night. I didn't even know what I was supposed to do with it. I just knew I hit play. And then in 20 minutes, I'm out. And when I wake up, I just take it off my head and then, go on with my night. And it's not that I had trouble sleeping at all. It was just handling the stress that was going on in my life. I started 3 days later, just, wow, I'm not that stressed out. It's not affecting me as I get used to. What's the difference? It's brain tap. And all of a sudden, I just took off with finding who I am.
So you were not who I know today before this.
No,
Because I've
you
only
didn't.
known
Yeah.
you now.
Yes, and a lot of people think that, wow, you're just this strong, independent
Very
woman,
calm,
very
powerful.
calm. Like, how did you had crazy in your world? And I said, you had no idea what was going on in my brain. But, the things that, like I said, the stories we believe,
Mindset.
the
It's
mindset.
everything.
And I was validating who I was based on what other people were saying. And I was taking that in and attaching myself to those words. And they were words of criticism and that kind of thing. And I was like, wait, that's not who I am. And it was the reprogramming of my brain. Epigenetics is what it's called.
It's real.
It's
People
real.
literally, I think, are going to think we're crazy.
I
But
know.
we now have two scenarios. So you
So
end up
yes, you
telling
didn't use
me,
it.
well, you end up telling me, this device caused me to get a divorce.
Pretty much because it's, I mean,
I was like, damn.
yeah, I mean,
I was like, come on.
the short
Amelia.
story of it. Yeah,
And you basically, that's a shortened version, but you were saying it gave you extreme clarity.
it did.
And, all these issues are already there. And then brain tap clears
It
the
just,
energy,
it
right?
did. It literally, it
Now
like
responsible
pinpointed.
for 2 divorces.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Porter will tell you, he'll say, yeah, that people joke that they started using brain tap and they lost 200 pounds.
Yes,
Literally.
So this has happened multiple times. This is not, I don't think you forewarned me. This has happened multiple.
This has happened multiple times. So yeah, Jen was sitting there like deer in headlights. Like, wait, what? What did you do? And I said, well, what happened was, I mean, I was in this tumultuous place. Like, it was stressful times. Was not really aware that this was what was happening. Is that I was being validated by these words, and I'm like, that's not who I am. And then when that happened, I was like, wow, I know who I am, and I'm going to stand in that power and know that I've always lived my life for 40 years pleasing other people.
How old were you at that time?
I was 40.
You were turning 40.
I was turning 40. It was the eve of my birthday.
Are we living like a parallel life?
Literally. I know I'm a few years ahead of you. And I'm like, I saw it. I was like, Jen is in that world I was in just a few years prior. And I could tell just by, we didn't talk much.
It was just our conversation.
Yep.
So I get this
Yep.
thing. And then I think she scared me. So I just put it in my side table and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to use
That's
this.
so crazy because I felt that. I totally felt like, should I tell her this or not? But I felt like you needed to hear that. There was something that was like, that resonated with me, with you, that.
You said it.
Yeah.
So fast forward a year, I'm like every day, like I see this in my nightstand. Oh, I see it here and there. It's on the second drawer down. And then I'm getting I'm paying for it monthly.
Yeah.
I'm getting the charges for it. And I'm always like, oh, I should go get that thing. I don't know. It was not like top of mind.
Right.
And then one day I'm like, okay, I'm doing this.
And I haven't heard this yet. That's
yeah. So I was like, I'm doing this. I am going like 30 days straight. I was like, I believe in this. Who cares? Like, let's just try it.
Yeah.
I was
all
going
in.
through a very hard time in my life. I was considering getting a divorce. And I was like, I need a brain nap. I need whatever you were calling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
so it hit you then, huh?
Yeah. And then I think within 30 days, I I was like, I'm
Oh
getting a
my gosh, I'm
divorce.
getting chills like right and left.
So
This
I
is
don't know if you
crazy.
like planted that
Wow.
idea in my mind, but I'm telling you, I was doing a lot of things. I was doing like, listening to all these books. I was doing brain tap, and
Yeah, it was to me it was a mixture of things. It just happened that brain tap did come into my life when I was on this I didn't even realize I was on a spiritual journey.
correct.
And it was a spiritual journey of getting to know who I am.
Yes.
And who I am is someone that is way more powerful than what I was telling myself
Correct.
and what I was listening to others about it. And so, and I say, I love my ex-husband. I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing to do with it is nothing to do with him as far as like, you know, that happening. It was just a tumult. It was all a lot of things in my life coming
Yeah.
together at that time. So it was like, so absolutely, it was just all these things coming together, and it was just boom. It was just a collection of things. I was listening to Abraham Hicks. I was
Yes, I was
listening
doing the
to
same thing.
yes. I think that's why we connected because we
Because
were
we were talking
listening to the
about that.
same things. Wayne Dyer is a
Wayne.
big,
Yep.
big role model for me.
I was just like, I was listening to some old school stuff like Raymond Hollywell, the 11, the universal laws, working with the law. I was listening to some Tony Robbins stuff. Just,
It's
but,
nuggets from it all, and when it all comes together, it's like wow. When you're on a path, there is no stopping it.
and for me, like now, I have to stay disciplined to stay on it because,
I get that.
like, when I tap, I call it being tapped in. The seas part for me. I mean, anything gets out of my way. It's
Oh,
actually the most incredible feeling. I remember just like a month ago, I was really tapped in. I was like listening, doing brain tap. I was reading, and I was traveling the day when all the airports shut down. I think we were going to AAJ.
the crowd strike.
Yeah, and I totally controlled my mindset, and I expected nothing but ease. And I walked through that airport. Every flight was canceled except for mine.
Yep.
I walked on the flight. All the gates were down. Like I don't know if everyone remembers that day, but
Yeah.
the real issue was no one could find where the gates were because all the TVs were down that
Yeah.
day. So there was like mass
Just a
chaos
scramble. Yeah.
at the airport.
Sure.
And I was like, I had my AirPods in and I was just so focused. And one of the principles of like a lot of these universal
Universal
laws
laws.
is
Yes.
how you interact with the world is how it responds to you. So everywhere I went, I was just like, thank you for making my life easy today. And I was just expecting people to be helpful. And I was just like in this state where I felt like I was really controlling my reality. I got on the plane, got there. I mean, some people were stuck in the airport for 24 hours. And so I
And the
don't know.
difference is their energy was in that negative
Fear.
space of fear.
Yeah, and I
When you're in
did not allow it.
when you're in an energy of faith and
Trust, receiving.
I'm getting
I know.
chills.
And we talk about this all the time.
Yes.
And for me, it's like my goal right now is to try to live 100% in that space. It's like I can like kind of right now for me to do it, I have to be focused. But I do think as I get older, I can shift more to it's like almost a subconscious ability. I mean,
It's
I've
amazing.
manifested the most incredible things in the last 90 days. Like anything, like
This is so cool. I love
things
this.
that like when you. So did I tell you about the 300 project I'm doing?
No.
Okay, so this kind of goes in line with this.
Yes.
So there's a Steve Harvey reel that was going around the internet. He was talking about 300 things. And so he's challenging people to write down, like in a note in your phone, 300 things you want in your lifetime.
Okay.
Be, do, or have, meet. And the whole purpose of it is he says most people can only write down 75.
Because they don't even know what they want.
And they basically run out of steam after that. They do like you could maybe put 20 trips, cars, houses, whatever, start a charity. But it challenges you to go beyond your limits.
Yes.
So if you had everything, What would you want
And
then?
money was not an object.
Yeah, you had all the things. What else would you want to do? So I started thinking, I got to like 180. I'm still working on my list. Mary Lou tells me she did this. She wrote 400 things.
Wow.
So what happened for me is, you start thinking of, if I have everything, who would I want to invest in or change their life? So then I started picking like 12 people in my life that I would want to change, like almost like you're manifesting for them. Because then it becomes beyond yourself.
100%.
Legacy, how can you impact the world? What could you change? What could you leave behind? Like when you get all the material stuff and like the trips, then it goes to almost like a higher level. For me, that's what's happened. I'm still working on my list, but immediately he says, every single person that's ever done this, 30 to 40 things come right off the list in the first year. And for me, I've started putting like, I wanted to become friends with Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx.
That's right. Nice. I heard you met her.
Well, then I literally, Amelia, she's like a billionaire,
I totally
right?
believe this.
Within 5 days, she emails me out of the blue and tells me she's been following me on LinkedIn. Now I share some of her posts and stuff, but she tells me she loves what I'm doing, that what I'm doing for women is incredible, and that she's here to support me. Like, what?
What? Yes.
What?
Yes.
Like, that's how freaking powerful we are.
100%. And that's how powerful getting your brain in that space is.
That's why this is so important. I don't care what people say. My license plate is mindset. You control your mind. You can control your reality.
Yep.
The other story that happened.
Control your thoughts. Control your reality. Yeah.
I think it's just for me staying focused. Because, so Jason Hennessy.
Yes.
So I had put on there, he has this coach named Cameron Harold. He's also coached like some really incredible people in just general business. And he's taken people up over 100 million. And I just put on my list, I want to be coached by Cameron. I mean, Cameron, we have mutual friends, but he doesn't really know me.
Yeah.
So Jason calls me. He goes, Jen, this is really weird, but like Cameron Harold is texting me, asking me for your phone number because he wants to coach you.
You literally can manifest anything you want. When I learned that power, it was incredible.
I said, Jason, I have to tell you this story about my list. And he freaked out. He was like, you're telling me that you wrote this, put it into the universe.
Yep.
It went to Cameron somehow, energetically, caused him to call me, which then caused me to call you. And I'm like, I'm absolutely telling you that's what happened.
And that's how incredible we are. We are extraordinary. We are amazing, like, beings in this world. And if you just get that right, as far as getting that brain into that dimension, if you will, you do have to focus. You do have to be consistent. Those thoughts are powerful. And when we're inundated with this crazy 3D world that we live in, you have to have something that's going to tune you out of it and refocus and get you into what we call with Abraham Hicks, the vortex.
The vortex.
When you're operating from the vortex, you are tuned in, tapped in, and turned on.
And I think your energy in that state, at least I feel like for me, my energy is at a higher state where other people are in a low state and you kind of can almost override them.
Yep.
Because they're very vulnerable.
It just raises them.
Yeah. And so I do try to protect my energy from people that are energy vampires.
The boundaries have to be set.
But I do think the more you work on this skill, it's almost like you can go around lifting other people up. And they're like, I love to leave a conversation, and we've done this many times where it's like, we're in a higher state because we had this chat, and the way you make people feel when you approach them with this energy, you can change people's lives.
You really can. And when I first discovered Brain Tap, I was not even in the TBI arena yet. I had just, at that time, I was working for a funding company. I wasn't even doing TBI stuff.
You know what we didn't talk about?
What's that?
What Brain Tap was originally designed for. Because it wasn't for divorces or this. It was for healing brain injuries.
Well, it's really, Dr. Porter will tell you, it helped people sleep again. So because we don't sleep, if you do get enough sleep, great, but that's very little in this world. And you can't heal from an injury if you're not getting your sleep.
True.
And there's no pill you can take for the lack of sleep that you didn't get. So, we can take melatonin, we can take all this stuff to help us sleep, but you're never going to get that sleep back. But what Brain Tap will do is it will literally help you get to sleeping again and getting that REM that you need so that you can feel better in this world, so that you can have those powerful thoughts, so you can manifest whatever it is that you want. But when we're not getting that sleep, it feels like it's a foggy state.
I know.
So yeah, that's what it was designed for. But the byproduct of doing this is everything. You literally become unstoppable. And that's why I've seen you blowing up on social media. Your company is blowing up.
I'm just happy. I would say
attracted to that energy.
Joy.
Yes.
I think when we get older, sometimes we don't prioritize our joy. I think I turned 40 in August. You're talking about when you turn 40. There's a big change that I've seen happen when people go between like 38 and 43. A lot. They actually talk about it. It's kind of like the second puberty. It's not puberty, but it's like this second phase of life that I've seen over and over again.
I totally believe this.
And
I felt like I was rebirthed at 40. I really did.
Right?
When I had that awakening, I was like, wait, I'm only 40? I get to live this life at this age? I have so many more years.
Like the best time of your life.
100%. It's been the best time of my life since. I can't even describe it. I'm so glad that you have gotten what I got, out of this. And it's so cool to see this.
We need to tell more people because I was kind of dreading turning 40, like leading up. I was in that bad time of my life where it's just
the best.
And then I was thinking, I am not going to turn 40 and like be in this negative state,
It's so funny. It was the eve of my 40th birthday, March 4th, 2019. I had this amazing spiritual awakening.
Oh my
gosh. I full on physical. The whole day I was like chills from head to toe, but yet my armpits were sweaty and my clammy hands. I felt something was taking over. And it was all because I just got my brain to that space.
Yes.
That mindset is everything. I'm so glad you mentioned that because then I realized, wow, our thoughts are the most powerful things that we can have. And you have to believe that that is the most valuable thing you have. So we got to cherish that. And if we can protect that, and other people, like you're saying, your essence is everything. Essence is what is going to get people to remember you. That's what you want to spark on this world. And I remember thinking when I first, had this awakening, I was like, everybody needs Brain Tap.
I know. You always say that.
And I remember thinking that, not even thinking I would ever be like selling it or even I just wanted people to know about it.
I let my kids do it.
Yeah, that was the best thing that you can do is get your kids doing it because their brains are so impressionable. You want to start from young.
They have
that awareness.
Certain meditations for kids.
Mm-hmm.
They have a whole kids section.
Yeah, so all you listeners that have kids, there's be better at your homework. Make friends at school.
Yeah, how to make friends.
Yes.
How to, there's a bunch. And these are some of the things. Okay, there's like one, how to manifest a perfect partner. Mm-hmm. There's ones, how to deeply love yourself. Mm-hmm. There's ones that are like, how to show up powerfully at work. Mm-hmm. There's like...
So there's a whole entrepreneurial path that we are. And so I plug into that. It's how to remember even having a better memory. You can do that. Yeah. But Dr. Porter will tell you he has clinical trials showing that this helps improve people with dementia. Totally getting them not to have dementia anymore.
Wow.
It's the most powerful tool that I know is accessible. And that's where I planted that in my head. And like you said, you can manifest anything. I didn't expect it. But what do you know? 2 years later, I had forgotten about Brain Tap because like you said, if you're not using it and you're like, well, I already know what it's like. You just got to meditate. You got to do this. Well, it came back into my life without even trying. And when I realized that this was Brain Tap coming back in, I was like, oh, I know why this is happening. It's because I was in that state of knowing that whatever I want, I can get because you have that ability to do that. And so, like you were saying, you just put it out there, and the universal laws are that it's going to happen. You just got to let and trust this.
The
This,
thing like I've been working on right
yep,
now is being better at like receiving all the abundance, because what happened for me is like when things really start rolling and you
yes,
really start manifesting everything you ever wanted, there's a part of you that's like, oh, I don't know how to receive this.
yes, I totally get that. Now I got to step into those shoes. It was, yes, and that's what we were talking about last night. Just like, you know what you're capable of, you know that. And so it's like, it's
It's
little
a little
crazy.
edgy.
Yeah, a little anxiety on it.
But I think we should like do another podcast down the road
Yes,
about like another year if we like really commit to the brain tap again and like keep it going, like
yeah,
what all we can
absolutely.
accomplish.
I don't think we should wait a whole year.
Oh well.
We're gonna do this again
Yeah,
as
we should
soon
do
as
it
we
again,
can.
and I want you to do the 300 and tell me, because
Yes.
you're a very powerful manifestor. I bet you it would.
Yeah, and you know what? We need to be challenged like that. So I accept your challenge.
She's gonna accept my challenge.
Yeah, and we'll report back on this. And
Yes.
we definitely have to do more podcasts because we
Yes.
could talk all day
I
long, but
know.
I know we are
We're gonna.
short for
We
time.
have to go to lunch. We're here at Trial
Yes.
Lawyer University.
Yes, learning all this great stuff from amazing lawyers like yourself, and that's what we're doing on this podcast, is just really bringing exposure to all of the incredible humans that are doing amazing things. So thank you for being here, Jen, and
Thank you for
I
having
love
me.
your story, of course. Oh my gosh, I just think it's so funny how the world works.
To be continued.
To be continued. Thank you, sweetie.
Thanks.